Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the Submit Wrestling Cards. We do this every time, video, podcast, show type thingy. I think we called it a therapy session once. That was probably quite fitting. Yes, so my name is Jack, and I am here with in fact, we've just recently discovered extremely famous co-host.
Oh God, yeah, Kev, Kev Williams. So infamous, should we say, more like Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Fantastic.
it's all
So,
good.
what you've probably seen
We're
from the
still alive.
still a lot. Oh, yeah, that's positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you've probably seen from the title of the video. Today we are going to be covering. There's not really like a catch-all for these the cards, but we're kind of going for commentators and managers. So, I mean, we know plenty of cards for commentators and managers, but generally when we're talking about wrestling cards, we talk about wrestlers. And we thought, well, let's give a little bit of an airtime to some of the managers, the commentators, because rightly so, they are just as integral to the wrestling world as the wrestlers themselves. You know,
Yeah,
talking about the
you're not wrong, Jack.
you've got
And for me, there, it's like sometimes the better, the bigger, and more famous than some of the wrestlers that we've covered, even. So,
absolutely.
interesting episode, I think, Jack. That's what we're delving into today.
We've got
Not
plenty.
just one or two, but loads to go through.
Yeah, plenty of cards to go through. So we'll jump onto those in a bit. We've got a little bit of news to go through first of all. I think probably every man and his dog in the wrestling scene has gone through the news over the past couple of weeks. We'll start with somewhat of a positive, depending on how you want to look at it, story about Netflix taking on board the contract to air the WWE and the WWE network no longer being in the UK or the EU region. So, Kev, what do you think?
Is that happening? I don't know if they'll keep the network in the UK, but I think it's all going to merge into one, isn't it? With something like a Netflix streaming system. It's huge for Netflix, absolutely massive to get WWE. So I think it's better for wrestling fans because you can watch it on Netflix. It's easier to get to, and pretty much every household has Netflix, don't they? So what they'll do with pay-per-views, that's my question. If
Yeah,
that's going to be a thing of the future.
yeah. I think
Ooh,
my concern was the same, was that you've had households that are already probably paying for Netflix and then paying for the WWE network, and then in some cases having to pay for the pay-per-views as well. It, you're eliminating a lot of those costs, but the pay-per-view has still got a big question mark over it, because really we're not talking about WWE as such anymore. We're talking about this multi-conglomerate of TKO, which is with the UFC as well. The UFC,
which involves The Rock. Yeah, The
yeah,
Rock's on board now, isn't
yeah.
he? Which is
Are we going to start seeing UFC on Netflix? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think it's a good thing to increase the audience and the eyes on wrestling for it to go into Netflix. I think it's a good thing. I was never a fan of the network, the WWE network. I always begrudged
mm,
paying for predominantly I don't watch a huge amount of modern wrestling, so I would be paying to watch sort of
the back
vintage,
catalogue, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
the back catalogue, yeah, which I already own
Yeah.
half of on DVD from like the tagged classics DVDs. So I'm then paying twice to watch it. And I always thought, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. I just leave the network alone. However,
That,
I do have
mm.
Netflix. So am I now going
as,
to start watching modern wrestling?
as I say, the Netflix, the network is good, the WWE network, but some of the retro like shows that I want to see, they're not on there. So that was a bit of a letdown. So I need to back everything up to on like a flash drive or something like that, and external hard drive, get it all on there so I could just flick through as I please. So I've got a lot of it on DVD from years back, but for me, I'm with you on the network thing to get it onto Netflix. I think that is a huge move for them because it makes it similar to Amazon, where they're showing live sport,
Mm.
and they've never done that before. Is this a thing to come? Will it be boxing, football, cricket, you name it? I think they're going to start and branch into be like the head of platform, if you like, the Netflix platform, isn't it? So interesting one. I wonder what it means for the USA. I think they've got Peacock, is it, Jack?
Yeah,
Is it?
something like that.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't watch an awful lot of Raw anyway, but with it being on Netflix, I could just flick on, get a highlight show, everyone's happy.
Yeah, yeah, almost like what you used to do Saturday morning TV. You get like the roundup of the week's news from wrestling. You see it on Sky One, and you watch like a roundup of the last week or last 2 weeks worth of stuff. Maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
how it comes out.
big news.
So the next news, again, we'll kind of skirt around a lot of this because again, a lot of people have probably dived into this. The scandal that's come out from Vince and other members from the WWE, not good.
Oh, it's not
Not
good
good.
at all, is it? It's
No,
well, to be honest with you, Vince McMahon's led an extreme lifestyle, really. And if it's not the drug trial, it's, you know, class action lawsuit. Then it was this latest case which he paid off someone, and it's all come to light. And I'm thinking there's a hell of a lot more to come. Do you think there'll be more people involved, Jack? Or
I think there'll be more collusion. More people will come out that knew what was happening and didn't say anything. It was
yeah,
interesting. I read someone had given like a history of Shane McMahon's interactions with his dad and the timelines of him moving in and out of the WWE and some of the efforts he made to try and stop some of this behavior early on. Now I don't know how true a lot of that was. However, what I did read, and I'm not going to go through it in detail. I mean, it's out there. You can find it, but I don't know if it's all true. So again, I can't base that on fact. If what I've read is true, then I've got an awful lot more respect for Shane McMahon now than I did have before. It would appear that he had been vehemently against a lot of this behavior,
action, yeah,
yeah,
behavior.
for a long time, and desperately tried to steer not only Vince but others away from that and from what Vince was doing. And he kept getting sort of stonewalled and pushed back, and that's why there's a lot of turbulence with him coming in and out of the WWE boardrooms. Which
Mm,
again, I don't know if that's true. I read it. It sounded plausible. A lot of the timelines matched up, but
yeah,
yeah, not good. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Vince has probably since the late 80s has had a lifestyle of almost unlimited wealth, which absolute power corrupts
yeah,
absolutely. So
mm,
I think that's probably what's happened, and it's a real shame.
yeah. Weirdly, I don't really want to ask this question, but how do you think it will affect trading cards, wrestling cards? Because for me, like, I don't know where it is. You see a madman, something crazy happen, and the trading cards seem to go crazy. It's like, what's up with people? But I suppose people are going to collect. I mean, like you say about Shane McMahon, will that put him to the next level where people will start collecting Shane McMahon cards? Or it just throws everything up in the air, doesn't it? And
Mm. It's a difficult
oh, it's an awkward one to look at.
when someone dies and the stock of the card goes up for it. It's almost like a short hike and then it kind of calms back down again. Prime example, very recently, prices for Bray Wyatt cards, they unfortunately they went
Yeah,
through the roof and now they're starting to come back down again. um yeah, I don't think it's going to affect cards that much because if you look at
no,
sports as a whole, sport is very good at washing over scandals because the sport itself will then soon take over the headlines. So when you have like footballers, for example, and this is probably both true in both the UK and in America, when you have footballers that get wrapped up in like either sex scandals or doping scandals or something like that, they themselves get vilified. And whether that's by
yeah,
their own team or by the opposing teams, the actual results of the sport carry on regardless. And people, I always find sports fans can be
very true.
very fickle as well. They're very quick to just ignore some
Mm,
of these things and push it to the side.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't think it will affect too much. But it's still not nice to have to know.
no, you don't want that. Yeah, you don't want that, dear. It's not good. Is there any other news to cover, Jack? Or you pretty much
Well,
there's not
we had
much on the card scene, is there?
no, we were talking about what the next set's going to be that's going to be released. We don't really know. I've not read anything. I've not seen anything. So we don't know now, really. But I don't know. I mean, please in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, which is probably very likely. Yeah, I don't know of any sets that are on the horizon that have been announced as of this stage. Any new ones? Um,
Yeah.
we still weren't sure where the contract's gone. We know it ceased and we know it ended, but
Mm.
I don't know now where it's been picked up from. Well, in regards to any more recent news than what we had last time. So I don't know.
Talk of Fanatics coming in and doing something with cards. That was the last I've heard, but there's nothing been out there which I've read, and it's like, there you go, 100%. We're moving in this direction,
Well,
unless we missed it.
Leaf will still be doing stuff, I'm sure, won't they? Because they're kind of
Yeah,
third party anyway. But yeah, we'll when we know, you'll know, and by the time we know, you'll probably know anyway. As the audience. So, yeah, so
you
don't.
tell us.
Yeah, you tell us. Right,
God.
let's actually do what we want to do on the show and talk about some cards. So what we'll do first, Kev's picked a load of cards. I've picked a load of cards. We'll go through Kev's first, and we'll just have a chat about the cards and really what we've got and what's there. So let's get some screens up and see what we've got. So you should now be seeing on the screen the first card.
Ooh. Yeah, so commentators, managers, that sort of thing. So let's start off with one of the best commentators we ever had then. So on the screen now is a 1982 All-Stars, Jerry the King Lawler. What made me pick this out, believe it or not, is the autograph. Take a look at how beautiful that is. Normally it's a cheap squiggle, but I think the card, the crown, the entire set is it's still going bonkers. All this 1982 Wrestling All Stars lot. Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, the guy's been in the business 50 years, probably more than that now. Ran huge shows in Memphis. He is wrestling in Memphis.
Mm.
We know him as a commentator, a pain in the ass in 93, 94, 95. Damn right legend, you know?
Absolutely. And we've touched upon this a few times. There's not many, and I'm not going to say wrestlers because I think in this instance, there's not much that the king here hasn't done in wrestling. He's been a wrestler, he's been a promoter, he's been a commentator. There's not many, let's say, people who have transcended different time zones of wrestling. He's gone through the golden era, he's gone through the new generation, he's gone through attitude. So there's three generations that he's gone through there, and he is at the top of his game throughout all three of them. So
Yeah.
you can't not give that high level of respect to someone like this. But yeah, absolutely, it's a great card, great signature.
Yeah.
The picture's a bit suspect. It's a bit creepy.
Yeah. A very, very young Jerry Lawler, isn't it, as
Like,
well?
yeah, we kind of know him as
Yeah.
a little bit more modern, shall we say?
Yeah.
That's the next one you've picked for the
Yeah.
King
For
Lord.
some reason, this reminds me of his feud with Bret Hart. I used to hate Jerry Lawler at this point. I mean, I just want to see you get beat up in that wrestling ring, but in a nice way, of course. You'd want to see any harm, but in wrestling terms, he used to annoy the living hell out of me. But that's all credit to his work and how good he really was.
Mm,
Um, on the screen is the action-packed 1995 card. So there's so much color around the actual card. Uh, there's like skull and crossbones in it, bizarrely. They look like purpley yellow flames.
yeah,
Then
weird, but looks good.
Jerry Lawler is there with his sunglasses and a crown. So
The color scheme kind of suits it quite well because he's in like a bluish robe, and it's got a very like a blue purple flare around the edge of the card. It's a great card, and the colors pop really well. And it's got like that gold foil like the 94 ones have as well. So it's got that sort of gold embossed foil on the card, which I think always looks really good.
yeah,
Um, but you can see
not
what
overly.
this is
Yeah, sorry, John.
95, and we're sort of like real deep in that new generation era. They're starting to find their feet for sort of the attitude era coming up. And I know it sounds really silly, but like as you say, he's there with sunglasses and a crown on, very much a sort of don't care
Yeah,
attitude almost. Which is kind of
yeah.
the birth of where attitude came in, I suppose.
What I also like about this card, Jack, it's not overly tough to find.
No,
It's out there, isn't it? So it's a great card.
one of the easier 95 action packs to get.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a few real stinkers to try and get hold of. I've not even attempted it yet, but this one's quite an easy one.
Yeah. So this is the last one from Jerry Lawler for me, and it is of the Attitude Era SmackDown 1999 set. I think it's
Yeah.
at 99, 2000. It's actually not about Jerry Lawler, this card. Look at the fans. Like, you got your Stone Cold, like, poster in the back. The fans going mad for him. Everything about the Attitude Era that we love. And it's just full of energy.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got the DX shirt. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's an awful lot there just to show again the energy of kind of people love to hate him at this time, and especially in the Attitude Era. You know, he was sort of he deliberately put himself as like a almost like a leery old man. Do you remember all the divas that used to come out? He used to
Oh, yeah.
posters for.
Puppies.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
a lot of the fans, I think, has it divided fans from young and old, because if you were young, you found it funny and you found it a bit edgy, but if you were old, you probably thought, oh, it's this creepy old man. Like, so you know,
Yeah.
half of the room would probably love him and half the room would absolutely hate him, and that's very very difficult to achieve. And he did it very very well. I mean, look,
Perfectly.
such a smug face there. You know, it's the kind of face you just
It
want to smack. It works.
is. It is. But, like, you couldn't get away with this sort of stuff on commentary today, could you? So it would be like W will get shut down within a week.
Yeah, the amount of complaints you'd have, the show would just be cancelled, wouldn't it? It wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
I mean, to be
He
honest,
said boobs.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. That you know, some people have gone back through some of the earlier
Clips.
episodes of like Raw and things like that, and gone, oh, you can't say that anymore. It's just offensive. Yeah, well, it is, but it's like a pantomime can be just as offensive. You know, it's the same kind of thing.
Big time. Brilliant TV. Oh, next one. Right. Paulie Dangerous, Paul Heyman is the next guy. So, uh, do I need to say anything about this card? Phone in hand, pink jacket, would you like? Sat in the ring. Paul Heyman at his best. I just
Yeah.
absolutely love this card. It's just amazing.
Did we because we spoke about this card before? Did we identify who that was in the background?
Ooh, it looks like Lex Luger to me, but I'm not sure we did.
I think yeah, I would go with Lex on
Mm.
that, but
Shane Douglas.
yeah, could well be.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean it's a
Yeah.
great card. It's from the championship. Oh gosh, I always forget the name. Actually,
Marketing, championship marketing, isn't
that's
it?
it. Yeah, championship
Yeah.
marketing. Great set, great card, funny card. You know, the expression on his face is great.
Yeah.
It's a brilliantly timed photo. Whoever took the photo, so yeah, really, really good. Shows his character as kind of like a feckless, confused manager, probably, you know, managing a heel at that stage, you know, trying to cheat and win and it not working. And, you know, that was what he did best.
Yeah.
Huge mullet, you can see. So very, very typical of the time. That didn't,
Very 90s, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, didn't last too long. But yeah, the cell phone in the hand, trying to portray that sort of yuppie character that in the 80s, you know, the working class hated that yuppie businessman greedy mentality. You know, they hated that. And again, he spent his life figuring out how to be the best heel possible, and that was the great character that he could put in at that time. And it worked
Yeah.
very well, and he did very well. And again, what's going to offend more blue collar working class Americans than you coming out with a massive mullet and a bright pink tracksuit on?
And being annoying as hell.
Yeah, just really annoying. You're asking for
Yeah.
trouble, and absolutely, you know, Paul E. Dangerously.
Brilliant.
The name
So good.
says it
How
all.
can you not include him? Oh, right. This one, it reminds you of his latter days with ECW. I couldn't find any ECW Paul Heyman cards out there. I don't think there is any. But what a fitting tribute. His time of ECW will never be forgotten. He was ECW, basically.
Mm.
I love listening back to his stories now. He's a great talker, a great personality to have in the wrestling business. Been doing it 30 odd years. I thought this card, the set as well,
Mm.
2002 Rumble set, I thought that was a nice one to add in. So
Yeah,
that's all it is, really.
yeah, great
Memories.
set. We know the set. We know it's you know, lots of rookies in that set. But yeah, I think this is, you know, him with the baseball cap was pretty much his entire ECW sort of
Yeah.
wardrobe, wasn't it? That baseball cap on with the suit. And at the time, you know, the ECW had unfortunately, whether you want to say folded or been bullied out, either way. Um, and he came over to the WWE.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know how many fans knew exactly who he was at that point, because there was this weird snobbery at the time with WWE fans where they looked down their nose at
That's very
ECW,
true.
WCW.
Yeah.
They oh, I don't watch it. No, I'm not interested. If it's not WWE, then I'm not interested. So I do wonder if there were many people that did wonder, well, who is this guy? Where's he come from?
That is
I don't know,
bizarre.
but
That is bizarre to say, Jack, but you're 100% right, because it was WWF or nothing back then, wasn't it? It
mm,
was just
yeah.
crazy to think.
Mm.
Wow. Oh yeah, this is a modern one, and it reminds me of his time managing now in WWE, especially with Brock Lesnar. And the card looks very robotic, if you like, very, I don't know, technological, or it's just it's a weird grab on his face, and it's almost computerized, isn't it? So there is different parallel versions to this. So I thought add it in. It's just a cool card.
I think, look there. Can you see what I'm pointing
Yeah,
out, House? I think
yeah,
this picture of him has been cut from something else, and that background has been put behind him, and they've not edited that bit properly. Because why would the ropes look like that on his sleeve?
yeah. I see. Yeah, I
Just
see.
just an idea, because there is like an out. You can see there's like
Mm,
an outline to him. I don't know. Oh, I love the card. I think it's a great card. It's colourful,
different,
pops really well. Him holding the
very
belt, it's
different.
almost like a state of ownership from him, you know, sort of shoving it in the camera's face, you know, this
Yeah,
is what I've got, this is what I've earned, kind of thing. um yeah, again, just a great card. It's lovely and colorful. A lot of those prisms do have that reflective sort of rainbow foil to them, and it's nice.
yeah.
um I
One
think,
for the modern collectors as well, isn't it? It's
yeah,
very,
i
yeah,
i do think they've if you look at the size of the card on what we would call the real estate on the card. So what's the actual amount of space taken up on that card by the picture? The picture's taken up what, probably 40%, 50% of the actual space of the card. I think that's a little bit wasted. They could probably made that a little bit.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then
but yeah,
does it stop the sort of the rainbow hollow effects if you was to make the picture bigger and reduce? I mean, I don't know. I'm just splitting
yeah. I
hairs.
get what you're saying there. Yeah, but yeah, zoom in a bit more, and you'll have a better card, definitely.
Mm,
Hmm, Panini for you.
yeah.
Oh, next one. So next one is, well, how can you have managers and commentators and not have Bobby the Brain Heenan? So 1992 SummerSlam card, dopey as anything. I used to love this skit that they used to have. It was on one of the VHS tapes back in the day where he was playing golf, and obviously he couldn't play golf. So Bobby Heenan, the best of all time for me, absolute damn right legend.
Yeah,
Simple as that for me.
yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Um, Brilliant commentator, extremely knowledgeable where wrestling was concerned. Huge amount of experience, huge amount of love from the fans. I don't think there was anyone that didn't enjoy listening to him as a commentator, or didn't enjoy him being a manager, even though he was a heel. And I think his most famous one really was managing Mr. Perfect. I think that's where a lot of us kind of interacted with him. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, great character. Wasn't afraid to make a fool of himself, quite clearly, as you can see from the picture. Um,
Mm.
yeah, just a great photo from that sketch. And what, you can pick this card up for less than 50p. I think it's not rare at all, is it?
Probably it's
Nothing
yeah,
huge about the value.
no, no, definitely it's one of the easier ones to pick up, isn't it? So thought I'd add that one in there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Leaf set. Oh, I can't exactly tell you the year, but I thought I'd add this one. He's got I'm thinking with his brain, then
Mm,
the autograph. I thought any autograph of Bobby Heenan for me is good. I absolutely
yeah.
idolized him, as I said earlier, and I could see why people would want this card. It's just there it is, the brain, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
It's a great card. I would have loved it. I remember, I won't name them, but someone had this for sale in one of the groups for I think
Yeah.
25 quid, and I was
Wow.
50-50 on whether or not to buy it. Um,
Uh,
wait a day or so, decided to buy it, and it had been sold within about 4 minutes of the post going up, and I'd not even realised, And I waited
yeah.
a day to decide whether or not to buy it, and I was like 23 hours and 54 minutes late
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, great card. These Leaf ones are brilliant. There's a demolition one of this as well, and I think they look really, really good. The colors, the artistry, the signature being on the card and not on the little strips as well, I think is really, really good. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Perfect pose for him, pointing to the brain, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Great card. And yeah,
Yeah.
lovely to see as well. Lovely to see some of the later autographs from him.
Yeah. This next one, I thought I'd just chuck it in because it's his rookie card. Not overly tough to find, believe it or not. But I don't know. It's just something magical about Bobby the Brain and probably Bobby the Brain Heenan's career. So, what was it? Late 1950s, early 60s that he started. 40, 50 years in the business. Started out collecting ring wear gear from the ring. Then slowly got into it as a manager, on to be a wrestler. Had to retire from wrestling through injury, really. Then went on to be one of the greatest commentators ever. Then, guy's a legend.
Is this from 82 or 83?
Oof, I think it's 82. With a search on eBay, it says 82, but either way.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah, a great
Mhm.
demonstration of the a lot of the 82 cards we know hold an awful lot of rookies. Um,
Yeah.
any of them that you can get cheap, great, because some of them you're not getting for under £200-300 dollars even. So yeah,
100%.
great card. Not the greatest picture of him. I
No.
wouldn't say it's very flattering, shall we say? But nonetheless, it's his rookie. It's there. The history's there.
Yeah. Oh, next one.
Right, let me zoom in.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
The quality's even worse.
the
What have you done?
quality's even worse. So
Uh,
it's the SmackDown set again from '99. Vince McMahon. I think this is his. No, it's one of the earlier ones of actually Vince McMahon alone on a card. So I think is it the Cardinal '97. He had a card.
he did, yeah, in the black vest.
Yeah, absolutely tragic what he's done and whatever, and the stories and all that. But it's like it's Vince McMahon. You'll never get another Vince McMahon, will you?
No,
Maybe that's a good thing.
yeah, yeah. I read someone put a comment on one of the Facebook groups saying something like, "Vince, thank you for everything, but personally, I hate you." And I thought that was
Yeah.
quite a yeah.
Mm,
Let's not go too deep into it, but I think yeah, professionally, for what he did and what he's done for the company, we can't not thank what
yeah.
he's produced.
Mm,
And this card, yeah, it's it's at the time where he was the main heel, showing his authority, and this was, I don't know whether the corporation had been born at this stage or not. This was what, 99, so maybe not.
mm.
However, it still was him finding that character of, I'm the manager and I'm going to be the boss, and no one likes their boss. What a great heel
Very
can
true.
be. I'm going to be the boss.
Yeah.
You're the worker. You're the workman. And that was what Stone Cold and Vince had that great chemistry to produce. Um,
Yeah.
and I think they accidentally fell into discovering that as well, which makes it even sort of funnier in a sense. That's the next one. Oh yes,
Yeah. So this one is it just fetches me back to when everything was super clean with WWF. Like meeting any wrestler was unheard of. Uh, they never got in trouble. Always like the perfect character you wanted to see on TV. And similar to what you said there, like Vince being the face of TV for wrestling. Like he opened most of the shows up with his commentating.
mm.
Then you see him working along Roddy Piper here. So it's his first clear shot on a wrestling card that I know of. Doesn't get enough recognition, if you ask me, but
It's we know
that's
my
yeah.
feelings on the blue set. But it's a great card, and I think it's a great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was a very family friendly feel to wrestling then, and it was all
That's
very
it.
happy and positive. And if we look at the transition of these two characters over the next 10 years, Vince turns into the heel, as we've just gone through. Rowdy Roddy Piper turns into this maniac, that culminates in the
Yeah,
Hollywood street brawl with Goldust. This absolute
yeah,
fanatical
brilliant.
maniac that's completely psychotic almost. Um, but yeah, great
Yeah.
picture, great pose, great colors, really fun to see as well. And Piper was a fan favorite for uh,
Oh,
so many
so
people.
good.
Yeah,
I can watch Rowdy Piper's work today, and it's off the scale. He was so good, Rowdy Piper, and he was brilliant with his fans. That's another thing.
yeah.
And and this is what wrestling is missing today, Rowdy Piper. I almost wanted to put him in as a commentator, but I thought, no, he needs his own show. Rowdy Piper was that damn good.
Uh,
So
yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think did he? What belts did he get? Did he get
yeah,
Intercontinental?
Intercontinental, he beat the Mountie at Rumble '92 for that one.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, of course he did.
legend. Yeah. All right, here we go. Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon. This is from the Opeachy set from 1985. People say it's Vince's rookie. I presume so. I'm unsure. I just thought I'd add it because it's two of the biggest wrestling names in history, side to side, if
Mm,
in a way. So Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon. There you go.
yeah. I mean, it's a great card, and I think it's it shows a little bit of this again, this family friendly cartoonish side. The frame is a TV set. This is obviously a TV interview that they were doing, or an interview they were going to be putting on TV, quite clearly. Um, it's sort of, I imagine it's probably Vince running through questions as if he doesn't know what the answers are already to to Hulk.
Yeah,
Probably known him for years by this stage already. Um, but yeah, it's a great demonstration of just how accessible and how family friendly wrestling was at that point. And it's great they've used the red as the border because Hulk's colors are red and yellow. They've got the yellow speech bubble. Again, it works really well. So it's a really color matched card, I would say, in that regard.
very 80s as well, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, very much so. Sort of the
Yeah.
cartoon speech bubble, or the comic speech bubble. Yeah, but it works. It works. And I think when was the Hulkamania, the Hulk uh cartoon show? That must have been a similar time, mid to
Oh,
late 80s. It must have been around that time.
yeah. Rock and wrestling, wasn't it?
That was
That's
it.
what
Yeah.
it's called. Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
someone was selling the sticker album, a blank sticker album to that on eBay a couple of weeks ago. I was tempted.
Oh.
You ain't get. I've seen one sealed pack and about three loose cards in my entire stickers in my entire life
Mm,
for that set. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah,
Nice challenge.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's a good card. What sort of price range are you looking at to get that card? What was that going to cost?
Oh, $20. It's not overly tough to find, bizarrely. I think there was a time where they went for a little bit more money, but where the money is on them two is if it's signed by both of them. That's
Wow.
the game changer.
Well, I've never seen one signed by either. Um,
You don't get Vince McMahon signed cards, not many of them anyway.
no, I think I've only seen
So
his signature pop up a couple of times on
yeah.
different things. But no,
What
it's a
was
good card.
was it the tops from 2020 that Vince McMahon had some limited signed cards and they get for something like 5 grand now or something silly. That's how rare his autograph is. He doesn't need to go to any conventions, does he?
Absolutely not. No, no. And how much would he charge if you wanted his signature? He'd probably charge about a grand.
$1,000, God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this guy. Next up, Gorilla Monsoon,
Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit. There we
commentators. This is another guy full of history. He used to be a part owner of WWF. And I think the deal was to sell his share to Vince McMahon Sr., that Vince McMahon Sr. had to keep him in work. So
Ah,
became one of the greatest commentators of our time.
yes. And we've already covered Bobby Heenan, but the
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just remembering
absolutely.
there's a bloopers reel of them two doing. They used to sit behind that big desk, didn't they? And like
That was it.
like a newsroom desk, and there's a bloopers reel of them two in absolute hysterics trying to get this VT across the
Yeah.
line. They can't get it. They're laughing so much, and it's beautiful
Mm.
to see that the amount of love they had for each other, because they're both just laughing so much, but on screen there was that real contrast of babyface and heel commentary, which just again just worked so well.
Love hate, wasn't it? It was that good, you
Mm.
know. But believe it or not, I think this is Gorilla Monsoon's rookie card. The guy was wrestling in the 60s and 70s and whatever. Phenomenal wrestler, by the way. He used to headline Madison Square Garden, and people forget about that.
Wow.
But I've been trying to find earlier cards, and this always keeps popping up.
Well,
Two
if anyone
quid.
knows of any other earlier cards, yeah, pop them in the comments. But I don't know of any earlier cards. I also do, unfortunately, I will say I don't know a huge amount of his history either. Um,
Oh, I love reading into things like that. Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, uh, Paul Heyman. The ones that we just gone through there.
mm.
There's such a ray of talent to look through, isn't there? So
Absolutely. And I know
yeah,
it's kind of one of those situations where I absolutely know homage is paid and I absolutely know the impact and the legacy, but I don't know the history too much, other than
yeah,
coming in on the golden era and the kind of representation that was there. Um, yeah,
class act.
it's a good card. If we go
Yeah,
looking at the card itself, he was always suited and booted. I don't think I ever saw him in anything other than a suit. Again,
no,
it's probably just because of that generation at the time. If he was sort of 50s and 60s and 70s, their casual wear would be a shirt and trousers. That's their casual wear. So it's
yeah,
probably an impact on that as well. But always held himself really, really well, sort of in front and
yeah.
off the camera as well. I don't think I ever heard any stories of him.
Well respected.
Yeah,
Well respected.
I've never heard him swear. I've never known him be
Mm.
angry, even on any of the shows or the commentary that I've ever seen. Never seen it. So
It's like now with wrestling, every single show pays respect to Gorilla Monsoon in a gorilla position, just as you're about to go out. It's named after Gorilla Monsoon because he had that much respect. You go to any wrestling show now, it's like, oh, the gorilla position. After who? It's not going to clown position or
I didn't know
it's
that.
true.
I didn't know that. I'm going to look that up. I'm
There you
not
go, Joe.
doubting you, Kev. I'm not doubting you.
Oh,
Never have done, never will. But I didn't know that.
it just goes to show how sad my life is, I think.
I'm pretty sure people listening to this are also now jumping on their phones, looking on Google, going,
Yeah.
"What's he talking about? Oh, he's right. Wow." In fact,
Wow.
tell you what, I'm going to save the audience. Watch my search history on my
Oh
phone.
no.
It's the gorilla position. Let's go. I'm going to type in into Google wrestling gorilla position. Top
Position.
result. What is gorilla position wrestling? Gorilla position, the staging area just behind the curtain where wrestlers come out to the ring, named after Gorilla Monsoon, who could often be seen standing there during WWF pay-per-views.
There you go.
There you
The
are,
gorilla
people. We learn something
position.
new
That's
every day. There we go.
the one. Bizarrely, this is his second card. I've already got two for Gorilla Monsoon. There's just not many out there. Like not many cards whatsoever are Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, if you want to start with collecting a certain wrestler, go to Gorilla Monsoon. There's about 10.
Um, that's really weird. You sure these are the only two that were there?
Oh, there is no. There's about 10. There's a few from like tops 2010, but you look at like Jerry Lawler, Hulk Hogan. Well, there's millions of Hulk Hogan cards, whatever. Gorilla Monsoon. There really isn't that many trading cards.
Oh wow. So this was what, 2003 or 2013?
No,
I want to say
12.
2012.
12 it was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Heritage, isn't it? Yeah,
it was yeah, the
yeah,
heritage ones always throw me off. I always get them mixed up with
Yeah.
Always think it's
Oh,
2000 rather than 2010 or 2000.
you had some from 2006, and there's all sorts of years. They're all mixed up, but they're all cool. So yeah, there's nothing much to shout about the card. It's just I couldn't really find any more that draws the eye.
It's a good card. I mean, shows the wrestling pose. You know, he's got his fist up. It's, you know, a typical wrestling pose.
Yeah,
I mean, you can see even here he's looking old. He's aged, rightly so. You know, he's an
yeah.
elderly guy by the time this is sort of coming around. I'd probably say he's in his 70s by the looks of things. By the time this photo was taken. Um,
No, you believe it or not, I think he was early 60s that he died. He looked really old. He had a really big paper round. It's scary. I'm gonna have a look how old Gorilla Monsoon was. He was 62 when he passed away.
62. Wow, that's no
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
That's no age.
No.
Right. I am just going to get mine set up.
All
Uh,
right, here we go.
da, 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 da.
There's a mystery one to this, Jack, and you can't be doing this to me because I'm thinking, who's he chucking in there? I hope it's Sonny.
It's not-
The reunion, Vincent Mann and Sonny. Let it
Oh
happen.
gosh, yeah. Right. I've just let me get this set up.
Oh no.
Right. Okay. So yes, there is a mystery one. I'm going to do a little bit of a build up to the very last one. I'm going to see, Kev, if I can, without giving you any particular clues, I'm going to see if you can guess who the last one is going to be. But we'll get to that. I've only got 5 to go through, so not many. So let's bring in the first one.
Boom. Who is it?
Go. There we are.
Oh, Howard Finkel. Yeah,
Yes.
fair enough.
So,
Yeah.
almost an identical story to what you said with Gorilla Monsoon. The Fink only has about 5 cards,
Yeah.
and even then, they're not particularly great. And I don't actually think this card is particularly great either. It's very dark, and I did wonder whether or not is that just the picture, or is the card itself very dark. And every picture I found online for this card, they were all this dark.
Mm,
So it's not a great
nice
card.
card.
However, I do think again, not enough. I'm not going to say respect because that's the wrong word, but I don't think there's enough airtime and discussion that's given to the Fink because of, if you go, it's like what's the guy's name? Bruce Buffer.
Yeah, boxing. Yeah.
Huge.
Michael Buffer.
Michael, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He was off Batman.
I
I don't know.
don't know who Bruce Buffer is. But you know, every major event, they're there doing the introduction. They're there giving
Yeah.
their you know, they're lending their voice and their persona. And just like Gene, you know, the amount of airtime that they got on those shows was quite a lot. And there was such a
Huge.
recognizable face, but I just don't think they got enough attention now as they should do. And
Yeah.
again, like Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh, Mean Gene Oakland could be thrown into that bracket.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Gene was also very, very popular with the fans and the wrestlers, and the same
Oh, yeah.
thing. And I just don't think enough airtime is given to them. And if we're talking, not really a commentator, not really a manager, but absolutely just an announcer, the Fink, absolutely. It's almost
Yeah.
like, you know, can you name how many other announcers that are just announcers? Can you name?
Not many.
No.
Not many, especially with wrestling today. I mean, the coach, John the Coachman, is it? He ended up being a wrestler.
Yeah.
They
Like
branch off into other media, and
yeah.
yeah, it's so much of it.
If you're just looking at just an announcer that was, you know, at the absolute peak of their game for wrestling, the Fink, every time, every single time.
And you never see an errors clip or like a comedy clip of Howard Finkel. It all goes wrong. It's
Yeah, oh,
never
yeah,
because
yeah,
he was so
right
good.
off
Yeah,
night or something like.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just think, and again, you can see the price. That's probably about $10, £7, easy to
Yeah.
get, easy to get.
Brilliant card. Oh,
Okay,
wow, that's a
so
nice one.
I had to go through quite a few Jimmy Hart cards because there's a lot that I really like, and I think what lends themselves is that any card that's got a little bit of color on it will pop really well with Jimmy in any attire that he wears. And this, I think, was
Yeah,
my favorite one that I found. So Jimmy was always really colorful. You remember the stuff he used to wear when he was with Hulk and Brutus, that full Hulkamaniac suit was just
yeah.
insane. It was so bright and it popped so much. And the megaphone as well, that absolute
What a character.
oh
Jimmy Hart.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely. And you
similar
saw
to what you said before. He's just like there. Wow.
yeah. Jimmy, I remember watching wrestling shows where Jimmy Hart would come out 3 times with different wrestlers. He'd come out with like the natural disasters in one suit, and then he'd come out with the Hulk in another suit, and then someone else in
Yeah,
another suit. And
yeah.
I always used to watch and think, well, how many people does he manage? This is getting
Yeah,
silly. He's got like 5 people
yeah,
underneath him, but
yeah,
you just accepted that, and you was just happy that he was there, and he was always shouting around the ring with a megaphone. You could hear him in the background running left and right, and you think, wow, it's just bonkers. But uh,
yeah.
again, as a manager, he
So good.
always he was there to take the bumps. He was there to distract the ref. He was always on cue. He never missed his parts or anything like that. Always did a good job.
On top of that as well, Jack, he was a fine musician who made most of the WWF theme music for that. Shawn Michaels was one of his loads of music.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a few times. I don't know the full list, but I know there was quite a few that he did. Um, but yeah, it's just a great card. It's a nice card. It's well put out.
Still good.
Unfortunately, it's the signature on one of those little strips. But look, you can't have everything.
Hey, it's nice. It just stands out for me.
Yeah. I've got a
Really.
similar Jimmy Hart card, like a similar one to this, but this one is much, much better. I would much prefer this one, but it's a bit out of my price range just for a Jimmy Hart autograph, unfortunately. But it's a nice card. I might just click that make an offer button and just, I don't know, put 20 quid in there, see what happens.
You never know.
Yeah, never know. Never
Hopefully you
know.
get it, Jack. You never know. Oh yes.
So
What a card.
I'm going to let you talk about this just for a minute because there's a lot of history here for this person that's still present today.
His wrestling show, what's it called? With I can see his face now. Something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. So his podcast, what's the other guy called? I forget his name. Who does a show with him? Absolutely unbelievable. So they indulge in all sorts of wrestlers, events, time frames. He was pretty much there when it happened. It's pretty much straight out the horse's mouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
If you're talking kind of behind the scenes wrestling, it's for the
yeah,
WWE, WWF, Bruce Pritchard's been there for a long, 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 long time.
yeah,
The old guard handed over to him probably in the 90s, and then he continued to run with it for an awful long time. Probably
yeah,
very similar to sort of Jim Cornette, has done every job that could probably exist within wrestling and done it so much that it just comes natural. Um,
yeah,
a lot of people forget that they put Brother Love with The Undertaker right at the very start for the first 3 months, 4 months of The Undertaker's career, which I always thought was a really weird matchup. But hey, whatever.
yeah.
I think Mark has,
Sometimes that's the best thing, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah, even Mark had said, I can't remember. I think it was on the Broken Skull podcast. He said that Bruce gave him so much help in those few months, told him sort of how to even walk, walk slower,
yeah,
walk slower to the ring. You're supposed to be you're supposed to be half dead. Walk slower. And
yeah,
Mark, I'm sure it was on that podcast where he said, okay, I'll just walk as slowly as possible. And that then become absolutely massive for the Undertaker. That slow walk that builds the tension as he walks to the ring. You never saw him run to the ring. He never did an Ultimate Warrior. And that was just one small little
no.
bit that Bruce had just said, no, walk slower.
Mm.
Perfect. It works so well.
But if I was to get into the wrestling business today and start out a career, one of the first guys I'd want to listen to is Bruce Pritchard, Brother Love.
Not Russo.
He will give you so much knowledge and so many pointers of what to do and how to go about it. You're going to pick something up.
Yeah. Oh God, absolutely. You would just want to sit there with a notepad and just write down everything he says and do it to
Yeah,
the T because it's going to be such a wealth of knowledge. And what, this card's 1990.
Yeah.
He's probably still quite involved even to this day, probably quite a back seat, but he's still probably quite involved. So we're now looking
Yeah.
at 30 years, 40 years, something like that in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
An
good.
awful lot of history there, and he pops up a lot on Dark Side of the Ring as well, which is also quite an interesting thing. He's got so much to
I
say,
think
which is good.
I think what you've done with your pick here, Jack, is like, even with mine as well. Is like they're not just the wrestlers that you see on screen. It's like Howard Finkel. Think of like him being the face of wrestling. Jimmy Hart with his music. Brother Love with his backstage, whatever he's done there, office work, you name it. And without these guys, you wouldn't have wrestling half as good.
Yeah, well,
So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. These are people that sort of live and breathe wrestling, aren't they? It's their absolute life. There is nothing else for them that they
yeah.
want to put their time and stock into is other than wrestling. Um,
Oh
Now this is actually
yes,
my personal card. I tried to find
that
a
is
card.
amazing.
I tried to find this sticker that he'd signed online and I couldn't. So I had to then go into my cabinet and take a photo of this. This is from my actual personal collection. Um, I've never had it authenticated, but I've looked at lots of different Cornet autographs, and this matches very, very much. I'm very, very tempted to have it slabbed up. I will do at some point, but yeah, this is on my display in my collection. Um, what I cannot say anything negative about Jim Cornette. I,
Brilliant.
in regards
I
to wrestling,
love.
I just can't.
He's got like an extensive wrestling collection. It's absolutely massive, and it goes back from old programs in the 70s to newspaper clippings to
Yeah.
trading cards. Man's a legend, isn't he?
Again, another one that's transcended different sort of regions or time zones of wrestling. From the real early 80s. I mean, when was Crockett? What
That'll be 80s, 70s, 80s, right?
it
Jim
was,
Croc
was late 70s. It was
Crockett
as early as
Promotions.
that. And
Yeah,
then Golden Era, Attitude. I mean, this is New Generation. This is from the 1993 Undertaker album, sticker album. Um,
yeah,
and again, even though he's not that involved with modern day wrestling such as the WWE as it stands now, his commentary on what wrestling is doing is still so pertinent and so informative. Um, I don't have the time to sit and listen to his whole podcast, but I get like the clips pop up on my YouTube feed, and I watch them quite a lot. And his take on so many things, like when Sonny got sentenced, there was like an 8-minute clip that he did, and he told all the stories of all the times that people had tried to help her, and he gave all these historical recollections of all the times that people had tried to go through, um almost share the pain with her of her addictions and her problems and try and help her so much. And it was quite a sharp podcast because he basically says, I've got no sympathy for her at all for what's happened. It's a sorry situation as what happened, but I've got no sympathy for her because I was there from the start to finish of everyone trying to help her and she continued to ignore it. And it's like that
yeah,
kind of level of history that he has with backstage wrestling is just untouched by anybody. Um,
yeah.
and again, like you say, with if you was to sit in a room as a wrestler with Bruce Pritchard, you'd write everything down because you knew what everything they were saying was gold dust.
Damn right. I can't add any more to what you've just said, Jack. It's just it, these guys don't come around every day.
No,
It's the
no,
one-offs, the freaks of nature, and I don't think you'll ever get another Jim Cornette.
no.
Never, no matter what. So good, and I love his podcast.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And again, I've forgot the picture, but I want to give an honourable shout out just before we go to my final one for Jim Ross. I would have put Jim Ross in this list as well for mine. I've got his
Yeah,
signature on the 91 Empire rookie. Um, and again, Jim Ross, very similar to the other commentators that we've covered here. They were the voice of wrestling for so many people. Him and Jerry Lawler did through the Attitude Era was just just amazing. You know, the common for a commentator to have a catchphrase, by God, you know, that
Yeah.
it just brilliant. You know, and I would have put a JR card in here, but yeah, I didn't manage to grab.
Well, wrestling wasn't the same. Well, like the Attitude Era wasn't the same without Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross on commentary.
Yeah.
But like when them two were on, it was like a whole different show.
Mm.
Like, let's give credit to the ones like Michael Cole stepping in, great job. But
Tats.
yeah, but without them, it's, I don't know, it's Michael Jordan and LeBron James at the top, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
you go to someone else, think you're good, but you're not quite there, are you? So, but there's, you know, they're great workers, all of the guys, and you can't not say anything against them.
Mm.
As for your mystery card, Jack, oh, what, if I had to take a guess, Jesse Ventura.
Oh, that is a fantastic guess, and I'm actually slightly upset I didn't put one in for Jesse Ventura. But
Oh,
it's not. It's not. We should have covered Jesse Ventura.
yeah.
We've missed two people off that are absolutely huge. But no, no.
Part two.
What
Part two.
oh yes, actually, yeah, we probably could get a part two out of this. There's so many to cover.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm going to ask you one question, and this again, you know, you can play along here as the audience. Who connects the two biggest wrestling factions in wrestling history? Hi, wrestling fans. This is Jack from the future. Now, I tried to catch Kev out a little bit with this question, and it failed miserably because he answers the question within literally 3 seconds. So here I am giving you an extra little bit of time to try and figure out what the answer is.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
Oh, didn't even take a breath on that one, Kev, did you? Didn't even take a.
Wow.
This is the breadth of knowledge of Kev here. Absolutely,
Yeah.
just all that. And honest hand on heart, didn't tell me
Wow.
about this beforehand. Right. What I actually wanted to look for and see if it existed was there a card, and I'm sure I've seen one of Rick Rude in DX.
Ooh.
I can picture in my head him stood in the center of the ring with the briefcase, Shawn, Triple H, and China. I am sure that card exists. Now, it could just be a photo that I've seen,
Yeah.
and I'm card, but I'm sure that
thinking
card exists.
Superstars comic images 98, or is it the sticker album, the Panini one from 97, the Superstars one? I'll have to have a bloody look now, Jack.
Yeah, I
Jeez.
tried to dig for it, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go next best thing. I'll go with him in the NWO because really they crossed over. He crossed over literally on the same day, that historical appearing on the same show
Yeah,
in the same day.
that was mental. That was like, what?
He did
Yeah.
So for those of you that aren't aware of this story, I'll give you a very quick story here. So Rick Rude was one of the founding members of D Generation X. He was like their manager. He used to stand around with a briefcase, which apparently was full of all their money and contracts or something like that. He fell out with the WWF at the time, and he was then poached by WCW. WWF was pre-recording their shows, and WCW was doing live shows. And what actually happened, the transition was that quick between him going from the WWF to the WCW that he appeared earlier on in the night on one channel in the WWF, and then later on that night he was then on the live show for the WCW, but to make him look different he shaved a part of his beard off. So you can find the footage online. It's hilarious. He shaves the weirdest part of his beard off and he looks very odd, and he turns up in a suit pretty much like this for the NWO. It's hilariously funny to see. Now you could argue here, sorry, just to jump in there, you could argue here that he wasn't really a commentator, he wasn't really an announcer, he was kind of a manager at the end of his career, kind of, because he couldn't wrestle anymore. So
yeah, it's a broken neck, wasn't it? He suffered that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going with him as a manager and the only real person to properly link the two biggest wrestling factions in modern wrestling history.
Definitely, and deserves every credit for that as well. It was weird that I was thinking, is he putting something like Theodore Long in, or I, I was thinking for ages because you said you got this mystery card, and as soon as you said the two biggest factions, I thought, well, one's got to be DX, the other one's got to be NWO.
I was wondering if you'd go with like Four Horsemen or whether you
Yeah, I was thinking
like
that.
the
But
Shield or something like that. And I was like, I don't know how to phrase it, but yeah, if you got that playing along, give yourself a pat on the back.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, we don't need to cover his wrestling career. That's enormous and
brilliant.
fantastic.
We need to find this card now of him in DX. We'll add it in the video somehow if it is out there, Jack.
Now I searched for it and I genuinely could not find it, and I'm absolutely certain. I'm on Google now.
Uh,
Rick
I know there is like a picture of DX. I'm thinking, is he in the photograph? I'm sure it's Superstars 98 from that set. But yeah, absolutely class.
Yeah, it doesn't on Google. Rick Rude. What you're saying is 97 superstars
98, is it? Something like that.
in a superstars sticker. Sorry, audience, if you're listening to this. This is just me tapping away here on. No, don't look like it.
No.
No, still just brings up this NWO card. See, I was certain that that card existed, and I couldn't find it after about sort of 20 minutes, half an hour of trying to look for it. I was like, nope, done. Switch it off. I can't do it anymore. But yeah,
No.
there we are. That
There's
is
some
my
great cards out there.
yeah, that is my pick. That was my mystery pick as well. And there we are, Kev. And I think we've uncovered we could probably do another episode with the
Damn right.
ones that we've left out.
Definitely. 100%. I think that's what we need to do, isn't it? Do part 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Years to come.
If you want to see part 2, everyone, yeah, comment down below. Let us
Who
know.
would you add in? That is the question. Who would they want?
Yeah, absolutely. Who have we missed out?
Yeah.
We've listed a couple that we've missed out quite poorly on our side that we've missed out.
Well, that's life. 5 each, we said. We could have done 50 each.
I know, yeah, there was
Yeah.
plenty we could have covered. I'm now
Yeah.
thinking of loads in my head that I could have covered as well.
Mhm.
But yes, if you want us to cover any more, pop the names in the comments down below. As always, thank you for joining us. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you're not on the Facebook page, come find us, Submit Wrestling Cards, also on Twitter at Submit Wrestling Cards as well. Just thank you for joining us, and I hope we've you a bit of inspiration for some more cards, wrestling cards, and wrestling stickers to look for.
That's it.
Kev, anything from you?
It's been good fun. It's been tough over Christmas. We haven't been able to get a video out. It's like work, sleep, Christmas, life. So we only do it for fun as well, and that's what it's all about. It's not a job, it's a hobby.
That's it. Absolutely. Well, thank you all very much for joining, and yeah, let us know your thoughts. And until next time, see you soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye.